Evening. Anyone hear me?
I can hear you, Mike. Evening.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Not bad.
Good, good. Been busy out here this morning, this afternoon.
Yeah, you've got no path left, have you?
No, it's all been ripped apart.
Are they going to put your curb back up now then?
Yes. Well, not the bit I paid for. No, just the bit outside here, which is a bit I raised the issue with.
Yeah.
And that was the only bit that needed it. Yeah. But, so they're going to be back here tomorrow. Might be cheeky if I can park my car in your drive tomorrow afternoon.
Help yourself, Mike. Help yourself. Yeah. I'm out of power all day, so go for it.
I've got the guy coming to finish off the service, the caravan tomorrow. So
okay, yeah.
He's got to do the central heating. Got to drain the liquid down and put new stuff in.
Yeah.
So, but sure. Apart from that, how's your day gone?
Yeah, going all right.
Yeah, nice relaxing weekend too.
Sort of, yeah.
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 Good. Yeah. All good then. Jan is now signing in, but she need a microphone on.
We're live on the YouTube as well.
Oh yes.
I said worse, Peter.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, Jan's muted, which is one of those things. Okay. Just heard from Dave. I don't know what's been going on. We had an original password, and hold on, there's Francis. Go back and sign it. Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't go in. I tried putting in the meeting in. It wouldn't accept it. You know, the one you sent out, Peter. But then I just tapped on the calendar one, and that just brought me straight in. But the meeting wouldn't accept it, and the password wouldn't accept it either.
Yeah, we find there's something's gone on. It's changed its ID and its password, and it's not what I told it to do. So goodness knows. And the moment it went live, it seems to have made some changes.
Yeah.
Which is a bit annoying.
But got in on my Face ID, so that's fine. So who knows? Yeah. So it saves all of the rest.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you, Jan.
Yeah. We're just waiting for a few people because we've had some technical difficulties.
I know.
This evening. But I'll be glad next month to be back in the village hall.
Is that a given?
Well, I'm in the hall tomorrow at a meeting. For Simmons. So they're opening the hall again.
I appreciate they opened the hall, but we haven't had a discussion about it yet.
Well, if you don't want to have meetings in the hall, we'll have a discussion. But
no. What I was trying to point out, Peter, is that we said we'd have a meet in September. We'd discuss whether we met live or carried on with the Zoom. So we need to go through that process.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just we'll be one of the last parish councils to actually get back to meetings.
Yeah.
All right. So
I've got a nice picture of a ceiling light.
Yeah, I thought that was a much better picture.
I've got no pictures at the moment. Yeah, that's it. That's better.
You're upside.
How's that?
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
Sorry, my better side.
waiting. Yes. We've got Francis, we've got a guest speaker. So I'll give it a few more, we'll have to give it a few more minutes. Joys of technology.
Oh, it's-
There you go. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Evening.
Ian and Francis.
Hello.
Hi.
Pete, I've tried to get hold of Julia. I've just sent her the new log on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it makes my face look like I'm a ghost or something. I'm not sure
That's
why the
okay.
lighting.
It's an improvement. Don't worry.
Like something out of a sort of Halloween, don't I? Right. Okay.
Freddie, we'll call you Freddie from now on.
It is a. I'm going to just see if I'll turn this light off.
That's even better if you turn the light off.
No, it's worse. Yeah.
Okay. I just hopefully we'll have Dave Lewis on in a few seconds. And then we'll start the meeting and then there we go. We've got a guest. Admit Nexus 7 joining.
I'll see if I can. She hasn't phoned.
No,
Um,
I've got someone who's joined us, but they haven't. Hello. They're connecting audio at the moment. Hopefully they'll join us. Oh, there's Dave. That's Dave. Okay. Yeah, here she comes. All right. What I think we're going to have to do is get started with the meeting. We're about 5 minutes behind. And what we'll start the meeting and then sort anyone else out. Hello, Julia. Thank you for attending.
oh, good.
All right. I'll just start the
Hello.
meeting. Had some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
With Zoom. So apologies for absence. We've got one apology for absence tonight. Francis, do you want to go through any other apologies?
Martin Betts can't make it. And I've had a report from Margaret Dewsbury. She doesn't think she can make it. She might try and get in later if she can.
Yeah.
I've had apologies from Mark Cordy as well. Mark
Okay.
tonight.
Right, that's fine. Okay, any declarations of interest for tonight?
No.
Nope. Okay. Receive and approve the minutes of the 3rd of August. Hopefully you've all had a chance to look at them.
Yeah.
Everyone, anyone got anything they want to say about them? No.
Good to me.
Okay, need a proposer?
I'll propose.
Seconder?
I'll second.
Hands all in favour? Unanimous. Okay. Matters arising from the minutes not on the agenda elsewhere. Don't think we've got anything. There's just a sign. I want to discuss the issue of getting back in the hall in a little while. But what we're going to do is we've got no members of the general public going to want to speak, but we do have Julia Fairbrother from this town council, youth council. So you're going to hopefully be able to give us your insight on how we could set something up for the youth of the village.
Yeah. Now, yeah, over to me. Yeah, so I'm a youth worker, work with MTM Youth Services, CIC, and so I work alongside the youth councils. I run local youth projects, I work with the local schools, so I'm quite heavily involved in DIS. For us, I mean, there's been a youth council on and off over several years, but it's never sort of stayed its ground. I think this is probably one of the longest stints, and we're just gone 2 years now. It's quite difficult to get on board. I suggest that councillors need to be on board with it to start with. We had a good couple of really good councillors who were there to support and who were really interested, but then without the sort of support behind the scenes, it was a little bit tricky. So really you need to find, as adults, you need to look, actually, is this something we want to do? Look at how you can get the young people involved. Make sure their contribution is not tokenistic. It's not just about having a youth council. They really like to get involved. So we started probably a good year or so. We were having lots of different meetings, and then we took it back to basics and had 6 months of planning with young people. So we advertised for young people that were interested. They come forward. They worked with a variety of different councillors about what they want their youth council to look like. We wrote a terms of reference. And then we had a launch event in the September. So I think probably is to step back, do all the planning first is what I suggest, is what we've learned as well, the hard way. We had eager young people and eager councillors, but unless there's that structure in place, it can all just fall apart very quickly. So yes, at the minute we have 2 regular councils, well, the mayor and the council come to the meetings as well. If the young people want them there, sometimes they'll meet a bit earlier and then join up with them to discuss things that are going on. Yeah, really, it's just the 6 months of planning time. I don't know if you've got any questions. We've limited number of people, so we have a quorum of 4, so it is small that can make decisions. I think we've had 8, and we're at probably with schools and university changes again, probably back down to 4 or 5 again. And obviously the last few months has been tricky. We have met online and they've done some COVID things together online. So yeah, and then they've had a break for the summer like the councillors have in DIS as well. So I don't know what else you want to know, what they get involved with.
Well, I think there'll be a fair few questions come out of this. One of the things will be, do you have a budget for them to work in?
I have a budget for what's called DIS youth work. So I get through MTM, there's a payment made each year, and the youth council is part of that support, but I also then run other projects which engage young people in volunteering locally, local projects, whether it's at the local woodlands or at schools, wherever there might be some volunteering needed. The youth council themselves volunteer at all the civic events and town events, but it's also about encouraging other young people to get involved in their community as well.
So do they get the idea to be able to make decisions, which financial decisions on projects, where we would maybe hand them, say, look, we want this project put together?
Yes, they only have a small resource budget, so they do have a budget. So they have a small resource budget which they can look at and spend, what they see fit. Some of that included that they wanted t-shirts with logos. They created a logo and things like that, and a banner being made. As for the money intervention, they have been involved in like S106 monies. The young people were brilliant. They took a survey into the school and got a few hundred young people's thoughts about what they wanted to spend the money on in town. So whether it was the skate park, whether it was the youth community building, whether it was the actual park in DIS. So they went and did the survey, and those answers helped build where the money was allocated from that decision by what the young people wanted to DIS. So they're like a resource themselves. So you start with those, and then they can go out to the wider youth to get there. So it's not just their decisions. They often get the opinions of the wider youth in DIS. So.
Okay, so who would like to start asking? Shall we start? Mark, do you have some questions?
Yeah, you say you've got you run for a quorum of 4. Is that what the entire council's made up of all the time, or?
No, we've had 7 or 8.
4 or 8.
8 roughly. We can have up to 11. They decided on 11's their number. but with people moving in and out as well, that we have numbers. So we up and we dip and that. So they don't make any decisions at a meeting if there's not enough at the meeting. It will get emailed out and then they can make their decisions. So decisions aren't always made at the meetings. Yeah, they'll still go and they'll have a planning meeting. So they won't go, we're not meeting, there's only 2 or 3 of us today. What they'll do is do the work that they can do and then send the information out to the other youth councillors. So.
And you find those numbers, they all remain engaged in the activities and the councillors as a whole? Definitely.
We've got one that's actually now leaving us, unfortunately, because, well, dependent, he's now applying to be a town councillor.
Okay.
So he's at the age. So actually, so we're down, you know, he's our chair at the minute. So, okay. Yeah, and they do engage and they have different roles. So we've had secretaries with chairs, co-chairs, and we had one representative who's now off to university, so she's quit, but she was doing publicity. So they all took their own roles or voted in their roles for it. So
yeah, and what's the age range you work with at this?
12 to 18.
12 to 18.
And that can be anybody that lives in Dis or anybody that accesses the high school. So that's up to you where you want your criteria to be, but that's what the criteria is, that what they've said. So
okay.
Yeah. Is there anything else, Mark, at the moment?
No, but I might have something coming back, but not at the moment.
Jan, do you have any things?
Do you actually get the youngsters to be involved? How did you get them there? Did you go into the schools and suggest it, or?
Yeah, publicity we can, word of mouth. Like I said, I am lucky because I do a lot of local projects, so I can easily get in. I work in the school, so yes, I can get in, and people recommend it to people. I speak with teachers. Yeah, so for me, it's just having that connection in Dis, so it's quite easy to try and go round. But it's been difficult generally because some of them have been at the older age group. Is now obviously they're all moving on again. So I think then we start back at September, and then we start recruiting again. So hopefully, you know, September to Christmas, our numbers will go up again. So they've just created a new flyer to advertise it, and so we're going to push on publicity.
You get a lot of response then?
Only with the numbers that we have. Like I said, probably 8 was the most we've had, but they work really hard. I mean, especially with the ones that were at the same school, if we didn't have enough time in the meetings, and they would all meet after school at school and carry on the planning, which was really dedicated. And I don't think it's about the numbers. I think it's about what work they're willing to put in and what they want to do.
I agree.
And I think, yeah. So I think 6 is fine, but because they go out and get the voice of other youth, so they will go to the school, they'll go to different places and get the voice. They have funded, well, they've got young people involved in projects like media projects. We've worked on a few historical media projects in Dis, but the Youth Council will speak to young people about what's involved. They'll do pilots, they'll do things like that as well, to bring interest in. They'll meet with different people who want to bring a project for young people to Dis. So again, then that's how they do it, and then they will go and advertise as well. So other young people get to access projects that have been initiated, you know, partly by the Youth Council. So
thank you.
Dave, got any?
I was just wondering what the scale of this was. All right, you have about 4 or 5 or so people on the Youth Council, but how many people actually get served by all this?
There's about, I don't know, about 8,000-ish residents of Dis. I should know, I'm a resident in Dis, but I don't know about, yeah, so there's 8,000 people. I mean, the young people get involved in community projects around the garden. We've had the big Dis Heritage Triangle. They've met with the Cornwall, which is the local venue. They do consultation work with local businesses and that, anybody that wants to bring anything to Dis. And like I said, if they won't make a decision, they will get the information and then feed it to the other young people. And it could be in the press, it could be at school, it could be posters.
Thank you.
Mike, got any questions you want to ask?
Myself? No, I'm quite happy, although I did miss quite a lot of it. But yeah, for what I did hear, was yeah, quite good.
Technology is wonderful. You'll be able to
Yes.
catch up on it later on YouTube.
Yeah.
Jill? Gillian? You still there? You're on mute at the moment, so I'll see if I can unmute you. And hopefully, Jill. Francis, you're on
Is that
mute.
better?
Hi, hello, yeah.
I do this all the time on.
You're a bit broken.
Struggling with the sound as well now.
Right.
All right.
No, that sounds great.
Julia, can I ask you, is there a good website that we can pick information off of what the youth council have actually kind of done, or how they promote themselves? So we can go and have a look at
They
that.
have got a slot on the Distown Council website, so you
Right,
can scroll
okay.
into there. There is a part on that, what they do. There probably isn't. There might be some of what they've done. I haven't looked at it. That was one of the things I was going to do today, where they're up to. We have struggled with publicity because when we initially set it up, there was someone who was going to do a Facebook and Twitter for them.
Yeah.
The council can control that, and then that fell apart. That person left, so that didn't get done. Then there was quite a lot of changes within the town council, I think, and councillors. So that side of it has slipped. But we've just now started to get that up and running. They've just changed their website as well this year. The Distown councils, they've got a new website, so things are being added on. I mean, I've got lists. We do a report. If you want to, I'm happy to email you a copy of,
If you could, that would be really good, and I can pass
everything,
that.
the things they've got involved with. It's hard to explain. Just lots of different civic events and everything.
I think it's just to get a flavour. If there's
Yeah.
anything you've got, you can email me. I can pass it around the councillors.
Yeah.
Just to give a flavour, as to what they've achieved. That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, I was just going to have a quick.
Gillian, are you able to speak, or can you hear us?
Yeah, so I'm really struggling with the sound at the moment.
Okay, so you have
I was just having a peek to see if there was
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
intergenerational projects. Yeah, I was just having a quick look. They have a stand for young people. They've run intergenerational projects, help support them so they get involved or get other young people to be involved.
Right. It sounds like something that we should be taking forward with the youth, but it sounds like the planning and preparation is the key to making it successful. So we're going to have to look at allocating some time for councillors to get involved in this. And
yeah, what would be your catchment area for high school?
Well, the fun bit, we have got about.
You've got the college and Ormiston, is it?
We've got Ormiston. We've
Yeah.
got, unfortunately, City Academy.
Yeah.
We've got Nethard. We've got the other one in Dereham, and Wyndham High.
Northgate. And
Northgate.
Wyndham High, yeah. So do work with Wyndham High and Cossey, because they're both in South Norfolk. Another post. For my other role, my main role is I'm a youth and community worker for the South Norfolk Youth Advisory Board. So
Yeah.
I support a group of young commissioners who make voices for the whole of South Norfolk.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a lot to do with Easton. I used to go to college quite a lot and do work with them, but I've not done anything Easton-wide for a while. But we are been working with Cossey High School quite a lot. So if you've got anything that you want me to put out to any schools, then let me know.
Yeah, well, that would be useful.
With any contacts. But also, I think there's a good teacher who might actually be able to help you, who helps us. He sits on our youth advisory board and he's at Cossey.
Right.
He might be interested because he works with students that quite like to get interested into things. So he might have some ideas of a starting group for students. So I suppose it's about looking out how you get all the young people in. It's about listening for them, what they'll get out of being part of your council, what sort of roles can they do?
Yeah, I think this is something that we need to be able to be structured and focused on to make it work. And that's the key, is spending a little bit of time to try and make sure we get the structure. And there's no point in reinventing the wheel if people like yourself have actually put a lot together. That's why we're talking to people like yourself to try and look at a way forward for us to be able to take this and move it in the direction we want to. Has anyone else got any more questions?
I was just going to ask, in terms of decision making by the youth council, are they have the authority to make a decision and run with it, or does that then get carried to the full council, like the parish council, town council afterwards?
It's joint decision making, so it's about taking that decision into account. Same with the 106, it always has to go then back to the full council. Like I said, you know, we have the Mayor Sonia, she sits on our meetings at the minute, so she's a very good link to have into what goes into the meetings. Our youth councillors also go to the full meetings often, and they report back. So our chair will go with the report. They'll get the report in advance, and then he'll answer any questions as well. So what they've been doing and anything like that as well. So there is that two-way link. So I mean, the young people have their own agenda about young people, so it might not always be about the decisions of some of the things. They would get involved with some of the planning with the council, but it would also be about their own agenda about young people and what they want to do for young people in their area. Does that make sense? And that's not always the same as the town council. So
when they meet, do you set like formal focused agendas for them to work their way through?
Yeah, so we have an agenda for every meeting that they go on, and a part of that is their community work and what they do. I mean, some of the things they did, they represented on Poppy Day. Poppy Day, November 11th, they all did the parade and everything alongside the councillors, which was lovely. But one of the youth councillors came back and, you know, was worried about eco and plastic and everything. And so when she came back, they discussed actually about making, you know, biodegradable wreaths and things like that. So she felt strongly about it. They discussed it. So she wrote a letter to the Royal British Legion, you know, so she makes an impact like that. It might not be locally, but it might be that's what she's thought of locally, but also then sent it out nationally, to, you know, to say, actually, is there anything that can be done? You know, but in a very, you know, put together letter. So
yeah, no, that's a good idea.
So it can be further afield, but something they've noticed locally, but they want to make a bigger impact on.
Have you found that members who've joined the youth council are able to use that towards their volunteering for the Duke of Edinburgh?
Yes, we have done for some, not particularly for the youth council, but for others we've used it for like Norfolk Youth Awards, or they could use it Duke of Edinburgh, and my young commissioners have used that for their Duke of Edinburgh Award as well. So good for references, what they've done. We can write references for universities, colleges and things as well. It's very good skills. You sell it on actually the skills they learn. We offer training through the Youth Advisory Board on chairing meetings and lots of different things that, you know, they also have access to if they want to, but also so is any young person in South Norfolk. So, you know, there might be stuff that they can have free training. If they're interested in that role, then there can be free training as well.
All right. So when you say free training, because with young people, we either got to get them there.
No, it can. Well, a lot of it's happening on Zoom at the minute. And if they're in South Norfolk and it's with the South Norfolk Youth Advisory, it's all free. And generally transport's free. Obviously, everything needs to be looked at now because we're not doing that. Everything's online at the minute still. But we do about public speaking. We've done training on resilience over the holidays. There's lots of different opportunities, communication skills that they can then, you know, develop for themselves. So even like if someone's really quiet, we've had really quiet young people come along and then they've just watched for a few meetings and built their confidence up. So we wouldn't say no just because someone wouldn't speak straight away or hasn't got that confidence to do it, because we, you know, as youth workers, I support them, you know, to reach that confidence stage. So
potential.
Potential. So it's all about nurturing.
No, this sounds very good. So we'll be able to contact yourself and key into these training courses and support. And
I'll put you the website when that happens on the SNYAB website. So when that comes up. I will send you. Is it France? Do you want me to email you the information?
Yes, please. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. That'd be lovely.
Yeah. So terms of reference and some of the things they've done.
Yeah.
You know, they do stuff with me as a support, or they'll just go off and do things on their own with, you know, what they will sort out as well. So it's a mixture of things. Don't necessarily need, you know, like a youth worker to support them, as long as they've got an encouraging team of counsellors around them to get them feel empowered and things. So I don't know particularly your area or its young needs, not without looking particularly. So I should do, as it's in South Norfolk, but
because one of the other areas we want to do is grab a lot
it's
of
gone quiet.
people into being able to get involved in youth club type thing as well. So
Yeah.
getting the youth council together to help put that together, but understand the rules and regulations around youth clubs are so strict these days, and the qualifications of the person running it, and all the checks, which we won't fully understand. But because you're lacking youth workers, or you did, because a lot of them lost their jobs a few years back.
Yeah, I was one of those, but I'm still youth working, so
Yeah.
It's determined. MTM Youth Services are in South Norfolk and will help.
Yeah.
If people interested, we've helped other areas in South Norfolk get up with youth clubs.
Yeah.
I'm running Dish Youth Group online at the minute, and I have been since lockdown. So
you work with Ollie Cooper then?
Yeah, Ollie. Yeah. So Ollie and I worked quite a lot. We worked on lots of different projects together back in the days.
Yes.
Mainly alternative education, and then we both worked at local schools together as well for a while.
All right.
And now he works. Yeah, he's still with Children's Services, but yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, has anyone else got anything to ask? Mindful Julia needs to be able to get on with the rest of her evening. We need to carry on the meeting. So has anyone got anything else at the moment?
No, I haven't.
No, it's hard to explain. I'll send you some more information. It's just a learning curve, nurturing, and yeah. So I'm not saying everybody has to do it on the council, but a good 3 or 4 of you have to, be a bit like young people's champions and stuff to get it going. And and understand the role. I think definitely with the terms of reference, and also for yourselves just to have that idea of actually how much are they going to get involved, how much would you like them to get involved, what can they do and what can't they do. So it's about actually, we can't let you have a decision on that, but actually these are the things that you can have a decision on. So I think they should always be able to input into decisions, because at the end of the day, this is their village of the future, and all those sort of things that we have to take account of how they feel about things. And in some parts there's an education, but I'll tell you, these young people these days, often with the modern technology and so on, way beyond us. Oh, absolutely. This has been a massive learning curve for me. Yeah. Youth work face to face to youth work on Zoom. It took a while, but getting there now. It's amazing how many activities you can run off, and interactive, and getting them up and down and running around, even when you're on a computer. So, well, thank you very much for this evening. No problem. Francis will be chatting to you quite a bit, and we'll be chatting about this further at another meeting, and finding a way of actually putting all this together. I'd like to see this come forward, and I think everyone has expressed a wish for this to come forward, and hopefully they still have got that wish to move forward with this. Again, thank you very much for your time at the meeting. Absolutely, no problem. If you have any other questions, or if any of you would like to visit one of their meetings, I'm sure they'll be fine for it. I will ask them, but they'll be happy for you to sit on one of their council meetings as an observer. So all right, so have a think about that as well. Thank you very much. All right,
thank you.
Okay. Good evening.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so moving on, I find that very informative, very useful, and I think the things that we can do to help and engage with the young people of our village. So Francis, you've got one more person that you're going to arrange to speak, haven't you? You said
Yeah, I mean, we've got the councillor from Horsford.
Yeah.
And she, if you'd like her, you know, if you'd like her to come on, yeah, I can get in touch to get her on.
That would be useful. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be very useful. Okay. So has anyone got anything else they want to say with regard to that section? No? Okay, moving on from there, update Persimmons Homes. Tomorrow morning, I've got a meeting. Francis will be in attendance and so will Sean Vincent. We've got a meeting with Persimmon Homes, South Norfolk District Council Planner, their District Design Officer and Norfolk County Council Highways Officer. So we're all coming together at the Village Hall to have a meeting with regard to, you know, a way forward. We got the initial design, what they did, and there was an awful lot that needed clarification, and there's a further amount of clarification that needs. One of the big issues that we've got is that we want to see them design out things like the wheelie bin situation. And they've got drag distances of, I think the worst one I've found so far is 111 meters drag distance of a wheelie bin. The maximum suggested is 30 meters under building regs. So we're doing quite well where Norfolk County Council and South Norfolk are concerned for disability rights. They're now considering very heavily what's taking place with regard to equality. They've been found lacking, but they're now starting to address it. I'm seeing it in their correspondence, not just that we're receiving from a county level to us, but to other organisations about them talking about equality impact assessments, which I think it's really, really good that they're starting to realise they've got a duty to deal with that. So we've also got, one of the issues is with their revised plan, the number of visitor spaces, they've reduced them by 10. And I think that's a big issue because gone down to 57. That works out at a ratio of one visitor space per 5 plots. We'd like to see that as 1 visitor space per 4 plots. We're also concerned that a lot of the visitor spaces are on private property, on private driveways, so they're not necessarily public use. So we need to see alterations to that. We're working very hard with regard to shared roads, and we're making a lot of inways with regard to that as well. So tomorrow's meeting, hopefully we will be able to take a lot further. Before that meeting, Francis, I and Sean are attending a meeting with Children's Services with regard to the new special educational needs school that's coming to the village, because they've got the funding for that and they're trying to move that forward right now. The only thing is, at the moment, they're wanting to come off the Bulber Road through what's left of the old wood that dates back before 1845. So find the maps and so on of that. And, if that's the last piece of the wood, don't really want them to make it a road. But there is going to be an access available off the Persimmon site, but what we've got to try and do is marry them all up together so that they can actually happen at the same time. The other thing that we need to be aware of is that the pumping station is now no longer on phase 5. They've made a commercial decision to put it on to phase 1. So that's reduced the housing number by stock by 1. So it's 291 houses now rather than 292. I think that's where we are at the moment with the persimmons. So after tomorrow's meeting, we'll have a little bit further. At tomorrow's meeting, Francis will take some notes and then he'll pass them around to everyone. So anyone got any questions or things they want me to put tomorrow's meeting?
I've got concerns over although supporting of the school, it's concerns with traffic coming off Barbara Road, because my belief is it would be more smaller individual vehicles rather than catchment school coaches.
Yeah.
Coming in, so it's going to put an increase coming actually into the village and certainly down Barbara Road. Would that be a proposal to say accept Barbara Road as a short-term measure until the spinal route is in?
Well, the problem lies, and this is what needs to be negotiated through, if they design for it to come off the Bulba Road, they won't have the design for the other way for it to come in. We've got to have the chat with them about, I have real concerns about the Bulba Road because the Bulba Road is being closed off. And they're going to have to come down the Bulba Road. They would then turn left onto the Spine Road, then turn right down the new part of Bulba Road. So it is that's on the cards since this whole project came forward in 2014. So it's to stop the through traffic on Bulba Road. So it'll be going on the Spine Road. Long term, what would happen is hopefully people will use the Spine Road rather than the Bulba Road, because it should be easier for them to transit, to turn left.
Accepting that if the Spine Road is actually there.
Yes. Well, if Persimmons get to build, because they actually haven't bought the land yet, which was a bit of a surprise, but they still haven't bought the land. So it may never happen. So this project may never happen still. So does that sort of answer your question? At the moment, it's all up in the air, Mark.
Yeah.
I've just got to see what we can negotiate and work through. And this is the problem that county have with persimmons being up in the air, as whether, because they haven't bought it, do they trust and wait for persimmons, or do they do their own thing, which guarantees them the school, because they've got the funding now for it, and they want to get started, and it is something that is so needed.
Absolutely.
In this area.
Like I said, I'm fully supportive of it. No issues with that whatsoever. But if Persimmon Spinal Road doesn't happen, we will be left with a much needed school with access off Barbara Road. Full stop.
Yes. I prefer it not to come off Bulba Road because of the amount of traffic that would then use Bulba Road. But there may be some works that can be put in place to improve footpaths and things like that, to improve that area and make it a lot safer. As I would like to see a footpath all the way down to the college to make it safe, for young people to transit, especially if there's going to be a lot more car usage and vehicle usage, whether it's minibuses or private individual cars. Has anyone got anything else they want to ask about persimmons? Nope. Okay, so we'll keep you informed of how that's going. Next one is item 8, an update of the sale of the land on Durham Road. Well, we're still waiting for a decision. Unfortunately, with the bureaucracy of government, and they all say, yeah, build, then then they say to Homes England, double check everything. You know, so we're sort of left waiting a little bit for that to happen. As soon as that's through, well, we'll be able to hopefully move this project forward quite quickly. But I'm hoping by the end of the month, you know, last month it should have been the end of last month, and this month there's been slippage. Unfortunately, this should have all happened in March, but then we ended up with this little virus that seems to have caused people a lot of problems. So we'll get moved forward from there. Okay, has anyone got any questions they want to ask? Burning questions with regard to that? No. Okay, moving on from there. We're moving on to Francis talk about the overflow arrangements of St. Peter's Primary, really the high school places.
But very quickly then, this is just a resume of the meeting we had on the 11th of August with the Education Department at County Hall, and their chief guy was a guy called Sebastian Gasse, G-A-S-S-E, who's the education officer, and there were a number of other people in his team, but he seemed to be the main protagonist. So basically, it was the meeting was about what are the education department going to do about the fact that we don't have the places at Ormiston for the coming year, and what's going to happen for the year for the 21 intake, and basically just going through some notes here. So effectively what they're saying is they acknowledge that they won't really be able to resolve the issue until 22. So we've got a year of the problem will continue for another year, but they don't think it will be so bad. Looking at their projections, they're predicting it won't be so bad, but then in 22 it will be a lot better, because the basically the admission policy from OVA is going to change, and they will have also built they will have increased the capacity of the school by then. They're going to have another 300, they say, by 2022. So what they said was that 2020 was a bulge, 2021 therefore won't be quite as bad, although there will still be the problem with some of the kids having to go elsewhere being the City Academy. But Easton throughout this will continue to be a feeder school, and then in 2022, as well as changing the admission policy, they're also, what they're looking at is St Michael's Junior School in Bowthorpe is basically going to be given less of a priority than Easton. So a number of measures are going to help by 2022 to improve things for the school. And there was a discussion on the fact that obviously the school anyway, St Peter's, is going to increase by an extra 210 pupils with all the persimmon development particularly coming on board. But the education department were aware of this, and they said it wouldn't be a problem going forward. So what it was agreed was that Jane Blackwell was going to go and look at all the numbers and basically provide those figures to both the school and the governors and ourselves as well. We didn't have a date when that was going to be given, and that's something that I think needs to be pushed. And I mean, I'm happy to do that if the council would like me to. Is just to ask to confirm with Jane Blackwell. And Jane Blackwell, by the way, is she's the school place planning manager, and just confirm when that information is going to be available. If you'd like me to do that, I'm happy to do that.
I think it's important to set deadlines, otherwise they just keep sliding. and especially on something that is data. So they should just be able to interrogate their systems quite quickly. And so they shouldn't need that long to interrogate their systems.
Right. Did you want me to write then, Peter,
Yes.
to her and confirm that?
Yeah.
When are we going to get the data?
Couple of weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
Give her, because it should not take very long at all to get that data, because it's all on the systems. All they've got to do is interrogate their system for it. The question I have is, how much did you trust in what they said that they would achieve by 2022?
Without apologising, they did come over as a little bit. They didn't really come over like they had a handle on it, Peter. To be fair, that was the they got caught with their trousers down on this one, because you'd think, well, if they've been planning all these years, surely they would know what was happening, and there wouldn't have been this so-called bulge in 2020. That so I mean, I've spoken to Mary Blaithwaite about this. I mean, that she's spitting teeth about it as well, saying, well, if they knew about all this, why didn't they actually contact the school and let them know what's happening?
Well, my biggest concern for an extra 300 students at their OVA by 2022 is there would be planning applications in the pipeline or approved, and there isn't any. I have looked on Norfolk County Council's planning website as well as South Norfolk, and there are no planning applications for that sort of number. The only planning application in the last few years was for some temporary buildings, which they got permission for, which was a total of 4 classrooms, which would mean you could accommodate 60, 120 students. But it was for a maximum of 4 years. So I'm very concerned what they're saying needs to be picked up and proven with facts, that where is the planning permission for these extra classrooms? And this is something that needs to be asked of them, because I can't find it.
No. Where are the children from Bolthorpe going to go then, Peter? If they say they're going to be excluded.
Yeah, they're going to be sent to City Academy.
Would you not be kicking up a fuss if you lived in Bolthorpe, as you live near to Easton College?
That's up to the parents in Bolthorpe to do that.
Yeah. Would they not be doing what we're doing?
That's up to the parents in Bolthorpe to be doing that.
So I don't see it as a given.
No.
Well, and that's what I'm backing up, is you don't trust them because they can swivel.
Yeah, because you've also got all the children who've already got siblings at the school.
Yes.
So you've got that to go through. That will take years and years and years to get through. That's why I'm very dubious and very skeptical that they're saying things that you want to hear at a meeting, but you want to see facts and facts that go with it. Want to see they say that they're planning extra 300. Let's see the plans for this new building, and because it's not there, it's not been approved. They've got to get through highways, because there's a big issue on vehicle movements around that school at the moment, and I think there will be kick up even more problems if they look to add another 300 spaces there. There needs to be a new high school for this area. That's the reality of it, and that needs to go in. Now, this would be an ideal time for it to go with Easton College, but they have their own plans. If we had middle schools of going 14 years and up, they could have gone to equivalent to the Easton College and gone that route if they'd wanted. But we don't have in this area. But if we need a new high school, I think that's what we should be focusing more on, is getting the funding for a new high school through the education department.
And that needs to come jointly from the other councils around us and areas to force it, because we won't do it on our own.
No, but the problem is it's there's limited what we can do as a parish council, because education is not formally part of our remit. But through planning process, all we can do is highlight the lack of spaces. Unfortunately, the county say, oh, it's up to the Norfolk County Council to plan it. And from my time in teaching, it always was, there's a big game of catch up. And that is a big problem. But all the stuff that they said, I would like to see the evidence to back up what they're saying, to give reassurance for 2022. So if you can put that within your letter, that
I'll put those two things, Peter, in there, specifically requesting it. So one is the actual information, and secondly on the planning, and saying, you know, where is this 300 places coming in 2022?
And how they're going to manage, as Mike said, the people in the Bowthorpe area, that I think they like calling themselves, they don't call themselves Bowthorpe anymore, do they? They have it's 3 score and
well, there's different areas. But we all know as a collective.
Yes, the collective of Bowthorpe area.
So you'd like me to ask specifically about St Michael's and what are their plans for there?
Yeah, and how have they reacted so far? Have they been told?
Well, the impression we got was they haven't been, because I mean Easton hadn't been told what was going on. So, but I can specifically ask them in this letter.
I think maybe
what plans have they? You know, what have they got to tell St Michael's?
And maybe a quick letter to St Michael's asking their head for his opinion of this, because that'll gauge things quite quickly.
Yeah.
Is everyone in agreement with that one?
Yeah. More you pull in and stir up, the better.
Well, it's not stir. It's just
it's
getting the facts.
But getting the facts, you need to stir to get the facts.
Yeah.
But I'll rephrase it.
Yes.
Peter, do you want me then representing the council to write to St Michael's, or is that something, for instance, that Mary should do?
For you writing to the council on our behalf. As chair, I'm asking you to write on our behalf to St Michael's, to the head, to ask him his feeling about it, because we've got to know what other schools are going to feel, because I know how our school would feel if the boot was on the other foot.
Yeah.
So he might be very happy, or she might be very happy with that decision. But if we can gauge that, if they're not happy, then that brings into question this delivery of 2022 and whether it's genuine, because I think the residents of Easton will want to know that, is there this chance, or are they looking to move to different catchment area for a different school? You know, and that's what people got to start thinking about. If they've got young ones who are going to another school, what school do they want them to go to? Because if there's no guarantee they're going to get into Ormiston Victory, and their feeder school is now, their catchment school is now a failing school, which is City Academy, you know, what are you going to do? You know, so these things have all got to be worked through. All right. Has anyone else got anything they want to add to that? No. Okay. Moving on. Well, item 10 I covered when I covered item 7. I won't go over that again. For decision, training course by Norfolk PTS on planning for all councillors. One of the things that I think is very important is all councillors have planning training, because we're getting more and more planning applications that come through us, and I think people have got to understand all their responsibilities within the planning so that we can understand fully what it means when a planning application comes through to us, what we have a say on and what we don't have a say on. So it removes the confusions. We can get a bespoke course solely for Easton, but I would say with our numbers that we might be able to sell a few places to some other councils to recoup some of our cost.
Mhm.
How do people think of that idea?
So no issues with that at all.
Sounds like a great idea.
All right, we have a cost at the moment, and it is within our budget to do, our training budget. So Francis, do you want to explain the costs and so on?
So basically, what PTS have said is that it'll be 2 to 2.5 hours, and that will be £300 for the course. That doesn't specify how many people but that was for, our council of, well, what have we got at the moment? We've got 8 councillors. I'm not sure, Peter, about the idea of, them us being able to kind of like separately go on and charge other councils for the course they're putting on. We'd probably have to agree to do that with them.
Well, we work closely with a number of other councils, and these days it's sharing facilities and sharing resources, and it may be Marlingford and Colton or some of the other councils may find it very useful to do. So we just need to confirm things. They're
Okay,
300.
well, I can do that.
Well, is for teaching so many people. Let's get the figure on how many people that's for. If it's for 10 or 12, that's ideal.
Yeah.
And if they say 10, well, let's see if we can make it 12.
Mm-hmm.
And the more the merrier, because then we can charge out for that and recoup some of our cost. And they still get their money. What would be the problem with us recouping at least some of our cost? It's fiscally prudent to do.
Yes, quite agree with that, Peter.
Yeah, and if they don't want to do that, maybe they're not the organisation we should be using for our training. We find someone else who will provide the training.
I'll ask them the question because we hadn't. We'd only discussed the training for Easton councillors. So that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So what we need for a decision is I'd like to propose that we take forward training for planning for all councillors, for Francis to put it together and organise a suitable date when we can all do it.
Yeah.
And it will cost us £300. So I propose, I need a seconder.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favour? Gillian, I don't know, are you happy?
Yep, I pressed the video button, but yes.
Yeah, we're not seeing anything at all. Okay, thanks very much.
That's fine. So it's set at 7-4, none against. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any planning applications? We haven't got any planning applications, new ones that have been brought before us. I haven't heard anything more about the one on Marlingford Road. Doesn't seem to have been decided yet either. And they hadn't, I think it was till the 28th of August to decide what they were doing. But I haven't heard anything more there. All right. We've got no members of the public present, but I do want to bring in something that was mentioned earlier. And Mike rightly said we need to discuss it. It's about going back to proper meetings again. We will be one of the last parish councils to do so. We've got meetings tomorrow. Government wants everyone to go back. We've got to get some normality back into what we do. We can still be COVID safe. Francis will take you through. We've gone through exhaustive measures for tomorrow's meeting, and we believe that we can put a safe meeting on in the hall. So Francis, do you want to say anything to this?
Well, I've spoken with Marilyn and Marilyn's spoken to Rowley, so they are happy with this meeting tomorrow. Marilyn couldn't actually make it in the end, Peter. I did speak to her afterwards as well. She had to go back to hospital with Harriet. Something to do with his back. Anyway, the point is, she's happy with tomorrow because what we've done is we've sort of done this risk assessment of making the place, if you like, sanitized by wiping everything down, tables set 2 meters apart, chairs all wiped down, all the handles, light sockets, etc. Clean the toilet. We'll make the disabled one, we'll just have a disabled toilet, so that's all cleaned down. So basically the place is clean. And then we'll have a system of coming in through the fire escape and out through the fire escape. So we won't be touching any of the door handles on the main entrance. And what this risk assessment does is it basically just signs all that off, the cleaning that we'll do afterwards. I will then give a copy of that to Marilyn, and just as, if you like, evidence that what we've done is we've had a safe meeting. Yeah. They have their own risk assessment done through their insurance. So this is through a risk assessment form we've got from our insurers that we've adapted a bit to make it kind of even more specific. But I'll give a copy of that to Marilyn. But she's very happy that going forward from October, we have those meetings in the hall, and that we basically make sure that when we have the meeting, they are safe meetings. So we'll just give her a copy of the risk assessment form that we complete whenever we have a meeting. It looks like probably 15, possibly 20 people maximum can be safely accommodated in the hall. But for a parish meeting, that will be absolutely fine, because I don't think we're going to get, we'll probably get a dozen at most. So the way the tables can be laid out and seating can be arranged, it can all be 2 meter distance and very safe. And then final thing just to say is we'll have, not sure about the evening, Peter, but certainly that the meeting tomorrow will have all the windows open, which will create a through flow of air. We could do that if we have our parish meeting next month like that. We'll just have to sit in our coats probably, or turn the heating up, I don't know. But yeah, so we can do that starting from next month. Marilyn's very happy with that.
Okay. I think it's heat wise, you just wear an extra layer of clothing, and it will work. But I think we need to sort of help lead the way, that we've got to get back to some resemblance of normality, but in a safe way. That's my opinion, and I'll leave it. I open it up to yourselves to discuss. Don't know who anyone wants to start. Mark, do you want to?
I'll generally give a census of opinion. I think we're mindful the numbers are rising again at the moment, but personally speaking, I don't much fancy sitting in the village hall in December with the windows wide open. I'd rather be sitting at home with the heating on, looking at you on the screen.
Yeah.
I would prefer that. I'm not really happy about going down to Village Hall as yet, not with, as Mark says, the numbers rising. I'd have to think, if you did decide, I'd have to think about it very seriously, whether or not I would attend.
Okay.
That's the feeling.
Right. Dave?
I'm not bothered about attending a meeting at Village Hall, that's fine. As long as the roadworks and everything have been finished and I can park there.
Yeah.
Walking the way down to Lower Easton in the dark.
No, the roadworks are all but finished, I think, at the moment. There'll be only a few more days worth, from what I can see. I was down there today. Doesn't look like there'll be much more to do. Mike,
I'm always mindful and careful, and obviously whatever the majority decide, I'm quite happy to go along. However, if there is a spike within the area, I think we should not hesitate to cancel, and go back to the meetings and quite like rightly, as Jan just said, everyone has to make the decision on that week, on that day, and also be aware of where you've been. If you come into contact with people, that you may not be bringing something to a meeting that you are unaware of.
Yeah.
And if you've been out or had to meet with someone that you're unsure of, then maybe you should make that decision of saying I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, we're going to be taking everyone's temperature before a meeting for anyone coming. So temperatures will be taken. Gloves can be, we've got gloves, we've got masks, we've even got face shields. And if someone's really, really nervous, we've even got white boiler suits.
No, that's all right.
Totally COVID safe, but but when we say, oh, we're nervous, but how many people are going shopping? Are you going, if you're going out shopping, then you're going into the office, or you're doing anything like that.
Not me.
Meeting people, not yet.
Click and collect.
Yeah.
Yeah, click and collect.
Yeah, lots of people go and click and collect. But it's up to yourselves. I think we should get back into doing things in the old-fashioned way of, face to face. But it's entirely up to you. This is down to you. I'm for meetings going back into the village hall. I think they're more productive. I think they're better, because we do get issues with Zoom and technical problems. It's like Gillian's not been able to participate in most of the meeting because her sound and so on is an issue, and that's a problem. And but it's entirely up to you. So I say go back in. Mark?
I would say at the moment not, personally, but
yeah, I'm going to have to go with that.
So do I say.
Okay.
I think we'll revert next month.
Okay. Dave?
Well, it's the same question you asked earlier, isn't it? I mean, I don't mind going to a meeting.
No.
Precautions are taken.
Gillian, what would you want if you had the choice?
Well, I'm happy either way, so I'll go for the majority.
Right.
Happy to go in.
So potentially we've got 3 happy and 3 unsure. So we're sort of at a deadlock, and I'm not going to use my extra vote on something like this, because that would be wrong. I will say that I won't be running the meetings after this month. So I'll hand over the baton to whoever wants to take it on, because I've got an awful lot of other stuff to do, because of these technical bits and making sure that it's going up on YouTube and so on is a lot of aggro for me. So I will stop doing that. So we'd hand that over to Francis to be running from now on, if that's all right with you, Francis.
I'll be delighted.
Yeah, it's just that I have the work. If things go wrong, trying to get people phoning me up wanting it from me, well, no, I've got enough on my plate without doing that. So
yeah, I mean, I've run. I've got access, Peter, to it. So it's not,
I've given you access to it all.
Yeah, so it's fine in terms of letting everyone know. I mean, I will talk to you about how tonight's one didn't work. So to make sure that I don't get that next month.
I can't tell you that why it didn't work.
Right. Okay.
All I can tell you is I ended up having to reset my computer because I couldn't even log into Zoom this evening. So I had to totally reset my computer so that I could find a way into Zoom. And it wasn't that many minutes before I was there unable to get in. And then then the password and everything changed and so on. So it is there. I have concerns about it. So I don't want the responsibility of that anymore. I'm taking on enough as it is. So I want to offload that from myself, because
Okay.
the reality is, long term, I want to step back from the whole thing. You know my feelings. Long term, I don't want to be the chair much longer because of my health and so on. I'll continue on as long as I can. I want to get the persimmon stuff through. I want to get the land sale through. But, I have to think about health, because I was very ill when I went into hospital. So I just got to think of myself and the family. All right. So Francis, if you take that on from now.
Yeah.
So from next month, we'll continue on Zoom.
Let's have a discussion month by month and
Yeah.
see, get people's opinions.
Yeah. It's just, I think COVID will not go away till there's a vaccine. This area has, well, certainly around here, has a low rate of infection. Attleborough, where some people are, has a much higher rate of infection.
And that's exactly where I work.
But that's only in one specific place, because of very specific.
Through Attleborough, you'll have a different opinion.
There's a lot of reasons why it's at that. HMOs are one of the main reasons, from my understanding, why they've got such a problem. But they're not getting the hospitalisation cases. They're not being hospitalised. They may have it, but they're not being hospitalised.
Yeah, that's an age thing.
Yeah.
You've got to remember that a lot of people on the council, Peter, are include yourself, with health issues.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and an age thing.
I'm classed as extremely vulnerable.
Exactly.
But if you take the right precautions, you'll be okay. I think we've got to still live our lives, during this pandemic. But as long as we're sensible and we take our precautions, we'll be all right. It's like people are going into work. People have got children, and they're just walking little festering viruses and bacteria waiting. How many parents get the cold when their children start going back to school? It just happens. So but we'll take on board what you've said, and we'll continue on Zoom for the foreseeable future. And I'll give Francis the lowdown on what he needs to do to set the meeting up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. I mean, I've done using your kind of log on, Peter. I've set up Zoom meeting, so it should work.
We can transfer that full log on to yourself for the council's responsibility, rather than me taking it, because I'm getting the emails and having to. It's a lot to make sure it's all working right, and I don't want the aggro of that anymore. All right. So let's move on to the next thing, financial matters. We had a look, Mark and I had a look at the payments, and we're both happy with the payments for this month. Hopefully you're all still happy with Mark and I deciding payments at the moment, especially as we're not going back to the village hall as yet.
Yeah, more than happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So you don't want a Zoom meeting for you don't want a Zoom meeting or anything for the finance and governance governance
Well,
committee.
I asked Mark; he was the chair of it.
Was I? I can't remember.
You were.
Yeah, I got no issues with a Zoom meeting. It's not going to help with the signature side of things, but I am the stuff you send over, Francis. I'm putting a digital signature on and emailing it back to you. Which I'm assuming is acceptable. No one said any different. So it's a strange year for finances, full stop, at the end of the day, because in 1 minute you're saving money and then the next minute you're spending it. So I don't mind Zoom meetings at all, to be honest with you. And if you are setting them up and there's a hour long or whatever, then and there's decisions to be made, we can make them. So if I want to be resumed that way, I'm happy for that. But the others on the committee have also need to agree as well.
Yeah.
I'm happy with a Zoom finance meeting if we want to set them up. If, as and when, is there anything pressing on major things that we need to?
If you set them up, you set them up for every month. You know,
Yes, I hear that. Is there any need? Is there any urgency to set them up as yet?
no.
Then let's hold back then.
Yeah, I think the urgency would come as soon as you get the money in for the land sale.
Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when the urgency comes to actually need them. At the moment, it's working well with Mark and I dealing with the smaller payments. But the moment that larger money comes in, you really do need to find a way to go forward with finance meetings. But the beauty is, with Francis now going to take control of setting up and running meetings and so on, I don't have to be then involved in those meetings.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I mean, shall we, Peter, Mark, what we could do is we could say, I mean, you did mention it might go through by the end of September, but what we could say is as soon as the money comes in, at that point, we'll just convene a meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first finance and governance meeting will start as soon as everyone can get together, or other. We could say, I mean, obviously it'll come up either at the start of the month. We used to have the finance meetings on the third Wednesday. So we could say as soon as that money comes in, we'll do it. We'll do it then.
Notice of it happening, because what will happen is the planning will get approved. The moment the planning's approved, it's then 6 weeks we've got to wait, and within 7 to 10 days we have the money in our bank account. After that, so
time to set something up, isn't it?
Looking at 2 months.
So 2 months, okay.
Yeah.
We haven't asked Jan's opinion.
I don't mind. We can set them up whenever. Do we need to meet before we get the money? Because have we got ideas of what you want to do with the money and stuff like that? We were looking at that sort of thing, where to spend the money, what
zip wires, Peter. Zip wires.
And
post on the corner.
Yeah,
there's lots we've got a list and moving forward. We're probably going to need a meeting to figure out where we left off before this crisis happened anyway. So
done lots of wonderful minutes, so you'll be able to go through the minutes and pick up.
I'm looking forward to it already.
Yeah.
So, but Jan's makes a very good point there about maybe starting to have the discussion. But as I say, we'll have 2 months' notice, so you can start the discussion a month beforehand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can start it this month if you want. It's up to you. It's your parish council. What do you want to do?
Why don't we have one in November? Because
I can't see the money coming through any earlier.
Let's have one in start November regardless, and we can move forward from there.
Yeah. That's fair.
Okay, Francis.
This Francis a month to get used to setting up all these.
They'll all be on Skype.
No. So with
Teams. Put it on.
We're saying a meeting. So middle of November. Then is that what we're looking at?
yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
They want the money coming in for December for a Christmas holiday.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good.
Okay. So reconvening, we've looked at reconvening the finance and governance, a review of contract quotes, including CGM and the Heartbeat Trust. Okay, Francis.
Right. Okay. So there's actually, and we've got the one for the Ian's quote as well. haven't we, Peter, that you've
Yeah.
given me? So we've got 4 in total. So I'll just whiz through. CGM, we had an issue with the long line of bushes. It's a kind of bit of a weed tree, really, but around the college Heights playing field. So the tree was severe. I mean, it was basically completely covering the path and into the road. So they're going to do that, or they've already done it.
They've already done that.
They've already done that.
That was done under emergency work, because
so that was
the branch was actually sticking into the road and could have hit a car or a pedestrian.
So they're going to do the just basically prune all the bushes back because they've got a bit out of control. So the total cost of that is going to be £460. That will come out of College Heights money. We've got 19,500 in there, so that's not going to affect the budget at all. That 19,500 is earmarked funds, which is for College Heights purposes. So that's the first one. The second one is the bin for to put along Baldwin Road by the gym club. To have that fitted properly and securely will be £295. All these figures are excluding VAT, so we claim the VAT. So that's £295. Now we have £1,200 in the village maintenance budget for this year, and so far before that we've only spent 137 quid. So we've got just over £1,000 available, which that bin can come out of. And Joe Tubby is absolutely delighted that we're putting the bin up. She's best friends now, so that seems to be well. We'll see how much it gets used anyway for just rubbish and not for dog waste. But there you go. So that's the second one.
It's a general waste bin. So
it's a general waste bin. It's not a dog bin, is it?
In South Norfolk, a general waste bin can take anything.
Yeah.
And doesn't cost us anything.
No.
That's the important bit. Okay.
So the third thing is
fitted. You're talking that's already been agreed because the funding was there. That will be fitted. It was going to be fitted tomorrow. Unfortunately, the unit came to Wescatec and it's had the lid damaged, and so they've asked for a replacement. So they just wait. As soon as the replacement comes down, they'll fit it, and it'll be on a pole. The whole works, and because it goes into highways, on highways land, it has to be a highways approved contractor that does it, and Wescatec is a highways approved contractor. So they've sorted it all out with highways to do that. All right, so Heartbeat.
So basically, I've spoken with Skip and Lucy, and they're very happy for their defibrillator to be put on the inside of their porch, so that basically it's accessible 24/7. Because at the moment it's just hanging behind the bar, so it's only available part of the time. The 3 defibrillators now have batteries and pads all working and up to date, so I've sorted all those out. But obviously, if we can sort out the cabinet that the defibrillator goes in at the Rembrandt, then they can have that, say, on the wall, and it's available all the time.
Have we had a quotation from Daylight yet?
From you mean Heartbeat?
No, from Daylight for actually fitting the cabinet.
No, not yet.
Okay.
It's got to be surveyed because the picture Francis sent through, that's not suitable to come
Okay,
up.
that's fine.
Right.
So, so they're going to survey it. So we just need to get the details of that and what it's going to cost and so on from Daylight to actually fit it.
There'll be that plus putting a lockable door on. At the moment, the cabinet we have doesn't have a lockable door. A new cabinet with a lock is about 500 quid, and I think it's going to be roughly about 150 or so, isn't it, Peter, to have just the door replaced? So it's much better just to have the door replaced. apparently it is quite, speaking to the Heartbeat people, and they're going to give me a quote, but they've said it's basically you stick the thing on the wall and it's quite easy to actually refit a door or put a new door on. So in terms of that,
if the door's there, Francis, we can fit it.
Yeah.
So
well, that's the aim. So can we get Heartbeat to give us the price ASAP?
I'll chase them up over that.
But we also need to chase this Daylight electrical company and to get them to give us a date and a cost to fit it.
And just to say on that, we have a reserve. We've got a defibrillator earmark reserve of £456. So again, that won't affect the budget at all by moving that up. And the fourth one then is Ian, who's come back with the quote to sort out the sign in case that blows over,
and the seats.
Benches. And so he's come back with a total of £935. I'm presuming that probably doesn't include VAT, Peter. It doesn't say
VAT. No, there's no VAT. It's not VAT registered. The biggest cost is the European oak that's needed for the sign. He's not using a full post. What he's going to do is take a smaller piece of oak, because it's so expensive, and repair and bring it all together. And Francis will be able to tell you how well he can actually do that, so you don't even notice that it's been done.
He's done some great work for me in the past.
So what he's got to do is take it out, and then his cost is to fit it again. It would have been nice to see I'll talk to him about a separation between the two costs for doing the seats and doing the sign, but that doesn't the sign cost doesn't include the actual sign itself.
No, I've got a price on that which Mark Cordy has forwarded to me.
All right.
Here, just give me a sec, so I got to find it.
All right. So
I had it up in front of me, but then that's disappeared again. So okay, so Mark's received a price from a lady called Jessica who deals with this sort of thing. The email reads, although all in all, it doesn't look too bad in the initial viewing, although there may be some rot in the lower scroll section by the look of it. Until the sign is removed from the post, it's hard to give an accurate summary of the work involved. In case there is bad rot behind the post fixing, as it is, it looks like it could be a relatively straightforward task of paint removal and repainting. As a guide figure for your parish council, the initial quote would be £750, with some increase on that if there is extensive rot. For your information, Aldborough Village sign just completed, yet to be erected, for which my fee was £1,500. This was a complete repaint commission, following the previous original design closely. So that's the guide price for repainting the sign.
So we have to really think about setting aside just on the sign side, I think, because I know that's going to be the biggest expense, especially for the oak, the European oak. You're going to have a cost to revamp the sign of at least £1,500.
I think you could be looking at more than that, personally.
Quite
painting.
Quite
18 to 2,000, I would have thought there.
So up to £2,000 for the sign, and we'll do I'll get the actual quote separated out for doing the chairs separately, because they're using a softwood which is treated and will be brought to the same like the existing stuff is. So we'll get that sorted. So we've got to think about setting money aside for that. £2,000 to do a sign.
Well, it's a necessary thing, I think. It's a good marketing thing, and it's Yeah, I think we should spend it. That's my view.
Okay, it will mean that we will be going into our £15,000 safety net.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we should see what happens with Dereham Roadland personally and allocate it through maybe those funds. Because I think 2,000 is going to end up being 2.5.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully we can. If it's woodworking, we would give it to someone like Ian to do, because he doesn't do it to make a profit out of us, because he's a villager. So he, you know, it'd be a different sort of scenario with him. So we might be able to get any repairs done like that with Ian, and then give it across to be painted to keep our costs in check that way. But the cost of the wood, I was stunned at how much European oak costs. It's staggering cost. But it's where we are. So, you know, we've got two ideas. One is Mike's, we just go forward and do it now, or Mark's is to hold off, see what's happening when our money comes in, and then do it. It's not, the sign's not going to fall down, and it might be better to do it for the spring anyway. Look towards doing it in the spring, because you're going to have to take it out of the ground, reset it, you know, concrete, you know, the cement, and get it all done right. So I think that's more of a spring job anyway, rather than going into the autumn, winter. So that would sit in with getting it done within a reasonable time, but also in Mark's of allowing for the money to come in from the
Dereham Road.
Yeah, Dereham Road.
Yeah.
People's views, Jan?
I think it should be done. I would like to see it done now, because have we got any time limit on how long Ian is going to take to do it, and how long it's going to take to be painted? Can they start on it straight away? Have we got 2 months wait?
You're gonna have a bit of wait for certainly the carpentry side, because they're very busy. But all good tradesmen are busy at the moment. So
it might be out of the Dereham Road money then, because if we're going to, you know, we could have it in, as you said, in another couple of months. So we could actually give them the go ahead now, unless you have to pay for it up front. I don't know.
Well, no, I would doubt you'd have to pay for anything up front. I wouldn't encourage that as a way of going forward, because you want to see the job being done and completed before you actually hand over any money. So it's up to yourselves what you want to do. I hear what you're saying, Jan. So you'd like to give the authority now?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so we know Mike's of that. Dave?
I've got no comments on it really, apart from the fact that I'd be wary about mounting an oak post in concrete. I was always told that is a recipe for rot. Oak posts are better set in the soil.
Right, I don't know what it's set in. There's a concrete thing around it, you know, a cement thing around the top. I don't know what it's fully set in. It was just, you know.
You don't have a choice with that one.
Pardon?
You don't have a choice really, because the base is brick and then concrete in, so it's going to have to go back like for like.
Yeah. So, so the brick base and whatever they do to cap it and sort it all out.
And if you get another winter on into the wood that's rotted, you might end up with spending more. But
yeah, maybe it gets taken down and then worked on over the winter months.
Yeah.
You know, this is what people's decisions are. So, Dave, would you be in for it now or wait until some money comes in?
I'll be for it now, I think.
Okay, Gillian,
Yeah, I'm happy to go ahead now.
you're sorry? You happy now? Just nod or
Sorry, can you hear me?
sorry?
No.
I think Gillian, you said you were happy for it to go ahead. That's how I heard that.
Yeah, I did, yes, sorry.
Okay. Well, we've got 2 for, even if Mark and I say we'd rather it wait, we're outnumbered anyway. So, Mike, do you want to be classed as the proposer to do it now?
Yeah, I'll propose we get on and get
A seconder.
I'll second.
All right, all in favour, stick your hands up. There's 4 against doing it right now. There's 2, so it's going ahead right now. Okay, so we'll get the quotes split up for Ian and separate those out. We'll get that sorted. Okay, update and reserves position.
So basically, we have £38,201 in earmark reserves, 11,446 in general reserves, and that's actually in the bank accounts. The forecast for the end of the year, I'm anticipating that general funds will increase to 16,122, and that excludes all the nonsense around VAT. I'm still waiting for these VAT returns. I've actually put them in again, so I've sent them off again to, and if they pay us twice, well, but I've put them in again to HMRC to try and get the money. But I mean, we will get it. It's just they're taking forever to get anything out to us. But what that does mean is that we should be in a position, therefore, where we've got whatever happens with Dereham Road. If there's a couple of grand that needs to be put towards sorting all the signs out, then the council is not going to run into financial difficulty doing it.
Okay, right. So the next thing that we need to move on to is correspondence received. We've got a piece of correspondence from Highways. They've actually done an adjusted plan. I'm going to bring it up on your screens now, of the area that will matter to all of you. And this is about Lower Easton. Lower Easton will become a cul-de-sac, which is hopefully pleasing the people of Lower Easton when they saw this plan. The only difference is that hopefully you can all see this plan.
Yeah.
Right. This area here has been looked at, and we need to work out with Highways England and Eastern Estates, because they're very happy to get rid of this and have it a straight sloping down Church Lane. So it's a footpath with them not having an entrance there, having it elsewhere. So that would mean that they wouldn't be this big walk up here to walk around there. So it would be a nice sloping, gentle looking approach, which I think would look much nicer in the environment. So that's going to be, they're working that up over the next couple of weeks to get that adjusted in. But what that'll mean is we'll have a nice footbridge and cycle path. We're looking at whether it's going to be what they call a green cycleway, which means it'll be prettified with grass and all sorts on part of it. So it won't be just the authoritarian concrete bridge across. It'll look a bit nicer than that. And what that will do is mean that we've got the reconnection with Lower Easton, and we would look to put a bus stop, you know, a call down bus stop where you stick your hand up. You have a bus stop around here for this part, that part of the village. Okay. With regard to further along, well, before I go along, anyone got any questions about this section?
Looks good.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. It shows that Highways England really do take on board what we ask for and say. Now, what Highways England also had loads of hassle with was people saying about Blind Lane. Oh, is it open? Is it closed? You know, X, Y, and Z. And they had other people going, oh, well, the roundabouts need to be moved further towards Easton. So what they've done is they've sorted it out. They've moved the roundabouts further towards Easton by about 25, 50 meters. And they've totally removed Blind Lane. Sorted.
Yeah.
So they sorted it all out. And they've even, at the moment, they've had to remove the Food Enterprise Park's access onto the roundabout. Is more likely to get access onto this feeder road here. I'd have preferred it onto here, but there is a problem with land ownership. Once this has all been dealt with, the land is offered back to the original landowner. Now, if the original landowner takes the land back, from my understanding, there will be no chance of a connection onto the roundabout by the Food Enterprise Park. So they would end up going on there. If the original landowner doesn't want this section back, then it would be put out to the local market rate to decide on what it's worth to the market. So it may be an opportunity then for Honingham Estates to buy it. And then they would be able to come in directly onto the roundabout. All right. So they would create their own access point, and they would have a private road linking up to the Honingham Thorpe Farm as well. So that would all be private road. So there'd be no cut throughs, there'd be nothing getting through there. But what that also does has an advantage for us in that it has the potential to move the LDO westward and away from Easton and into Broadlands area, and stays all in Broadlands area and doesn't interfere with coming down into our area. And so it would be probably less hassle for them to get an LDO on here rather than it coming into our area, where we would there'd be EIAs and all sorts needed for that area, given the amount of stuff that's going on in our area. So what I'm hoping for is, with this coming in, that will mean that it'll move that way. And that's what I would push for. So it's taking up that side, the west side. So it then links in with what their plans are for the future for the Honingham area with housing. Because they've got a big plan in for 3,000-4,000 houses plus parkland and industrial and so on. So that would work quite nicely, but it keeps it away from Easton. Anyone got any comments they want to raise on that?
Positive.
Yeah.
Positive. Yeah, happy.
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, so I'll stop sharing the screen. We'll go back to where we were.
Could you forward that on to us, Peter? The updated,
Yeah.
please.
I thought I did send it out to everyone, but I'll resend it. Any other correspondence, Francis, that we need to deal with in the next couple of minutes?
Just very quickly to say, there's been an issue regarding whether there's a business set up in Peg, I think it's Peg Close, a nail bar. and I did attempt some correspondence with South Norfolk Council Planning Department on this as to whether there was legal business, were there any planning issues. They didn't respond. I got in touch with them again. They have now officially responded to say that yes, they're going to be looking into it to see whether in fact that business should be there and what the issues are. So they're taking it up. So I had that actually today.
Their investigators taking that on board and is going to look at that. And I think it's their investigative and enforcement team is dealing with that, which is good. All right. So is there anything else?
Nothing else. I've got.
All right. So now the items for the next agenda, I think it'll be all the usual suspects. And hopefully we can have the lady from the other council at Horsford.
I'll see if she's free. Yeah.
That would be useful.
And this is specifically really looking at the as opposed to youth council, which they don't have. It's more of the contract side with the YMCA.
Yeah. But see, I think the youth council has a great merit, but also we've got to find activity for the young people as well. So it's trying to marry it all up together to do it so that we give something back to the young people of the village. And in a few years' time, Mark will be running all that for us and sorting that all out as chairman and going to the meetings.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yep.
I don't know what Mark you're talking about.
Mark Cordy, isn't it? He's not here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mark Cordy's been. Have you just volunteered him?
Teach him to miss a meeting.
Okay. I think that's everything for the moment. Thank you all for attending. Very grateful. And we will see you all, God willing, next month. All right. So you all take care now. All right.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night. Peter, what time tomorrow do you want me along to car park?
If you could be there for 9:20, and could we get the site open, please?
I'll have the car park. I'll do that if you like before I pop down.
All right.
So 9:20 then at the gym.
We're there. Yeah. We're there a few minutes early. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All
9:20.
I'll see you.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Bye. Cheers.